So, all right. Well, I'll start. Yeah, this is a real pleasure and a great opportunity. Thanks, Win, for organizing this and doing this. And so, my name is Chris Stransky, and I'm a senior aquatic scientist at GEI Consultants in San Diego, and I'm a group manager for our growing group here in Southern California. And let's see, what I do, primary focus, both myself and our group, is environmental compliance and permitting support, and centered on ecological risk assessment in the aquatic environments primarily, so the water world for the most part. Permitting, regional monitoring, understanding the effects of on biological communities, and trying to come up with mitigation of impacts is really central to a lot of what we do. So that's kind of my role and our group's role, just a snapshot. And then as you know, and many may know, I've had a long history with SoCal SETAC, the chapter, and something I'm real proud of. It goes back to the very beginning. I actually had the opportunity to attend the very first meeting in 1993, annual meeting. It was here in San Diego. And really, a lot of that was organized by my former boss and good friend, Barry Snyder, and also Dr. Anna Peister with San Diego State. She was on my committee at San Diego State, and they were both co-founders of the chapter. So I kind of had it in from the very beginning, and they were awesome mentors as well. But it was exciting to have gotten involved then. I just was fortunate, and then I've had roles with the chapter throughout my whole career, which I'm real excited for. And fun fact, I was actually with the creator of the very first SoCal SETAC website. We were getting computerized back in the day. So, and it looks much better now. What you have right now is much better. So anyways, it was kind of cool to have that opportunity to try something I had no idea what I was doing. Currently, I'm honored and real fortunate to also serve as president of SETAC North America. And wow, I'm filling some big shoes. I'm excited about it. It's been, I've been learning so much. And I really owe it to involvement in the SoCal chapter. And, the SoCal chapter has really been a star among the other 19 chapters. There's some great ones out there for sure, but SoCal SETAC has always been one of those chapters that stood out with regard to its momentum and the activities and interaction. So I really owe it to the chapter and everybody that's been around me with all that support over the years to be able to serve in the role for North America now too. So thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool to hear that story too, because now I'm vice president and thinking about, oh, well, I'm going to be president of SoCal SETAC. You were president of SoCal SETAC. I don't know. Maybe where am I going next? I don't know.
Yeah.
And now Barry's back on the board.
Yep, Barry's back. It's a small world, right? I mean,
yeah,
it really is. It's a great community. It really is. There's just so much support. So, right. Yeah, for sure. And I guess I'm all logoed up. I got the GEI logo, but I also have my SETAC pin. So you got to get one of these.
Sweet.
So check it out. So
I do. Yeah, that'll make me look official.
There you go. You got to be official.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear more about kind of, so your company is one of our sponsors right now, and I'd love to hear more about like what motivates you to be a sponsor of SoCal SETAC. What value do you see it bringing to your company, and how does it align with your company's mission or culture?
Yeah. Okay. Well, that sounds good. Yeah, I've also been fortunate with the companies I've worked for over the years too. And just over a year ago, I joined GEI Consultants from WSP and predecessor companies. We change names every 5 years or so. So I have this long list of names. But one thing I'll say, about GEI is that it is a mid-sized private firm. It's about 1,400 employees in the United States and Canada. Provides a broad range of support from geotechnical, environmental, water resources, civil design, and construction services. And really central goal, and I looked this up, is that for the company, one of its primary goals is to improve communities and help solve complex environmental challenges. So, I feel like that's a common thread, not just with GEI, but with the predecessor companies I've been with too. We take pride in trying to solve challenging problems. And I think that's something that I've always had a lot of pride in and, look to strive for. I think you said, what are the areas most proud of? I guess part of it is just being involved with programs, long-term programs like status and trends programs, like the BITE program, regional monitoring program in San Diego and in the ports of LA, Long Beach, and others, to be able to look at, I guess I've been around long enough where I can actually see changes that have occurred both on the environmental quality side and the biological community side, and to see changes that have occurred where there's positive outcomes. We've seen some things that have been very rewarding and something fun to share. Share pictures of, did you know we have giant seahorses in San Diego Bay? Check it out. They didn't used to be there 40 years ago because it was so polluted. Things like that make the job, really fun to share what we do. And I think, the same thing with other issues, finding the cause of toxicity, for example, and being able to identify why and how to fix it and solve that, issue. Those are really fun and interesting activities that, I'm fortunate to get involved with. And I could go on and on with those kinds of stories, but that's, I think why a lot of us are in this business is the environmental side of it, protection and understanding. Yeah.
I got to see these seahorses.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if they have them at the Aquarium of the Pacific over here in Long Beach or one of the other aquariums around. Yeah.
I bet you they have them at Long Beach, but yeah. I mean, it's just wild, these are actually one of the largest seahorses in the world. They're up to, I don't know, good 10 inches or 12 inches. These guys get big, and there's quite a few in Mission Bay and San Diego Bay. And yeah, it's just something that people don't notice. And you go down there and we've trawled and caught them, or you go diving and, if you're really lucky diving, you can see them hiding in the eelgrass. But yeah, it's just, there's a whole nother world down there that most people just don't see. Right. So that's something to be fun to share, what actually lives right under, where we live.
Right. That is such a big success.
But there is something I wanted to say with,
please.
Companies' involvement and also mine. And it's just that, showing the support for the mission of SeaTac, that's really the mission is advancing environmental science, and really it's to be part of the community that we support, the activities that SoCal SETAC and SeaTac North America provides, in particular supporting the students and career opportunities. And honestly, I just think it's good for staff morale. Our staff get more excited to be a part of something that's outside the day-to-day work environment as well. So I think it's a real positive thing for, companies to support the mission, really. And it's that collaboration, forming long-term relationships that I've had for my entire career have really come through SoCal SETAC and being part of something that we collectively, have a collective purpose and passion for. So it's just something I'm proud of. And, that's the reason.
Yeah, so I'd love to hear about kind of like current projects that you're working on, and the cutting edge challenges that you're trying to address today with your work.
Sure. Yeah. So right now, my primary focus, well, it's kind of been this way for quite a while, is really sediment and water quality in our local bays, estuaries, and in the lakes. And some of the biggest challenges that I see really are harmful algal blooms, trash, as we talked a little bit about. Invasive species is becoming a growing threat, especially in the lakes and reservoirs that, like mussels, that can impact the infrastructure and change species communities. Marine environment as well. We're seeing, potential invasive species impacts, climate change, and chemicals of emerging concern. I think these are all big issues that SeaTac as an organization has been really good at fostering and getting, the best scientists together to talk about these issues. And back to climate change, I really think climate change is just like this overarching massive issue that we're all facing, not just in the environmental field, obviously, but everything else that happens along the coastlines and elsewhere with extreme weather, but the impacts to pollution and biological communities and so forth. So I think we definitely have some big challenges ahead of us that we need good scientists to focus on, for sure.
On that note too, do you have any examples of kind of like working groups, or how that those connections that you make at SoCal SETAC have like directly impacted your work, or kind of improved your ability to address the science or the problem that you were trying to go after?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, SoCal SETAC is about the collaboration, the connections with folks that work in different industries, work in academia, work in the regulatory side. So we can kind of get together to talk about these issues and kind of use science to inform decisions, right? And also just forming the relationships that you get through a community like SeaTac. And to me, that's translated into some of my projects where it's been, whether that's somebody that I've known through the organization, or hiring, finding good talent and bringing them in. SeaTac has been really central to that as well. So I think there's plenty of examples that have helped, my work environment, and also learning the latest about what's going on outside of just what we do in the workplace, but what are all the academic folks researching and learning about chemicals of emerging concern or hot topics. Then I can bring that back to our projects and clients and say, hey, did you, or the regulatory folks, and take that into consideration when we're working on projects. How do we address the primary concerns? There's how do you prioritize where to focus, and so forth, and develop regulations that address that appropriately too, and stay on the right track. So I think there's been a lot of examples with regard to those kinds of interactions within the society that I wouldn't get by just, by being, siloed, I guess, if you will.
Right. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. In your line of work, what do you think are the most important skills and mindsets that people can develop to be really effective?
Well, that's a good one too. So yeah, really curiosity and passion. I think that's something we all have. Most of us are really, science minded. We want to know the answer to new questions and challenging issues and so forth. Real important for us is, really being a team player and a problem solver, self-motivated, but also kind of knowing when to come and ask for questions and, seek guidance and back and forth. We really need to, we don't work in little boxes and so forth. We're really collaborative in the way we work. So we want to have people that like to actually get together too in person and hash through things, figure out how to support each other and have each other's back. So I think that's it. It's really a team player type of, what we're looking for, to be honest.
If you have any advice for people who are early on in their career and want to work in this space with you.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think definitely keep learning and stay motivated. And I know, like right now, and have some patience because right now is a tough time to find jobs, for a lot of people, not just environmental, but that's, I know a lot of people graduating, and my friends or friends of my son who are graduating that are having a tough time out there, and others as well through the SeTAC community. So I think it's just staying involved. SeTAC is awesome because you can stay connected with folks. You get to learn a little bit more about what the needs are and who else may be hiring. Know that, this is going to change, that there's people retiring, and there's, despite the challenges that we're facing with, our government and the pullback of science and regulations and all these things right now, it's very challenging, but SeTAC is there to provide support and be an advocate for science. And we're seeing a backlash, right? We're seeing more jobs coming back. We're seeing funding coming back. And the reality is that people want clean air and water. And we do face some big challenges. And I think and even economically, it's making sense. Wind and solar is becoming less expensive than, fuels. So my advice would be to stay involved, consider internships and volunteering for sure, or any jobs that just give you, experience with responsibility. Any kind of responsibility is good. Get involved with the SeTAC interest groups. So check out the website. There's a bunch of different interest groups. A lot of the members are part of the aquatic toxicity testing interest group, but there's a lot of other ones: bioaccumulation, one for PFAS or chemicals of emerging concern, endocrine disruptors. There's a whole list of them. I think there's a microplastics one, but they do need leaders, and they need others to stay and, keep the ball rolling. So there's definitely a big opportunity to meet individuals that are all over the place, all over the world, actually, to get involved with these groups, and take a little bit of time to learn and get involved. Don't be afraid to reach out to individuals, whether that anybody, myself or whoever else, to learn about what they do, what they like, what the job is, entails, and the challenges and the things that people enjoy about their job too, because that gives you a good feel for it, and it also forms a connection. The people that reach out get remembered because amongst all the resumes that get thrown out there and so forth too. So make those connections for sure.
Where can your people learn more about your company and opportunities? Also, are there any final messages that you have for the SoCal SETAC community?
Okay, well, you can find out about GI, of course, through the website. So just check out the website, and there's plenty of information there. They've done a pretty good job of summarizing the different kinds of things that occur within the company. And and I didn't mention it too much, but you talked about job opportunities. The job opportunities range from everything, obviously entry level, data management, data entry, QA/QC, field support. There's a lot of engineers in this company too. So it's a whole range in regulatory compliance, permitting, things like that too. I kind of mentioned this too, but obviously we are in a challenging, unprecedented times, right? It hurts to turn on the news. It's just disappointing to hear a lot of what's going on. But again, there is this big backlash, and I'm very optimistic. Like I said, I think people really want to see a good, clean environment. It's healthy, not only for the ecological side of it, but human health. Just our mental health depends on a clean environment. So, keep that motivation and positive outlook. And then hopefully I'll see you at the North America meeting in Montreal. And that's going to be the early part of November 2 through 5. So what a cool town that'll be to visit. But look forward to seeing you all, and staying part of the community here. Really enjoy it. It's been such an honor.